Good news, everybody. It's Wiggles back with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing something a little different. You know, everyone does like a top 5 meta. And of course, meta is what meta is, you know, with buffs and nerfs coming every season. You know, there's always going to be those top 5 guns that absolutely are just, you know, they are what they are. They're the best guns in any particular season. But this video is going to be about, as you can tell by the name of the video, 5 basically underrated guns that actually shred, that are not meta. Now, guys, before we get into this content or get into this video, please drop a like and subscribe. Help me on that goal of 250 plus subscribers. Hell, if you guys enjoy this stuff, share it with your friends. Let's see if we can't get to 300 here soon. Without further ado, we got my top 5 list. Is going to start off with the PDW. Now, you will notice kind of a common trend with these top 5 guns, and a lot of that has to do with like maybe the damage range, or like BSA or hit flinch or anything like that. So you will notice a kind of a common, couple common attachments with each of these 5 guns. Now, I've tried a lot of different loadouts, but so far these are the best loadouts I've found for each of these. So the first one being the PDW. As you can see, here's the loadout on the screen. Now, one thing to know about the PDW is that with this loadout, as you can tell, it's got a very, very consistent fire at, of course, obviously 5 meters, but this thing does 29 chest, making it a 4-tap kill within 5 meters, 32 to the head. It's a 5-tap to the legs, and still a 4-tap to the arms. We're going to back it out. Now it's a 5, 6 at the legs, and 20. It's got a pretty big drop off, obviously, if you're hitting the legs and stuff. One of the big things about the PDW that I feel like a lot of people forget is that just like the PBSH, it's got a big mag, 50 rounds. But, you know, you build this thing out, and with it being an SMG, it makes it so that it's ADS time. You're able to run those, like, you're able to run those attachments like the marksman, like the monolithic suppressor that kind of bring down the ADS time. But with it being an SMG, it's still going to have a good ADS time. And of course, with 50 rounds and being super accurate, you will be able to put people down. Now, the only problem is it does lack a bit of a punch when you do start getting out at those further engagements. But because of its actually controllable recoil and light and very centralized BSA, it makes it fairly accurate. At number 4, we have the swordfish. Now, for some of those that remember when this gun came out, it was fairly strong. As you can tell with the loadout here, one of the, again, like I said, common theme, the monolithic suppressor. Now with this, one of the biggest things with this is the hip fire spread is kind of horrible, but with the halberd wagon, how much it affects the actual vertical recoil on this gun, it makes this thing into a laser beam. In fact, it makes it so much into a laser beam, as you can tell, there is literally no recoil. It sits right on the body. Now, of course, with the 5-round burst, it's going to become a 4-tap to the chest. If you hit some headshots in there, it's a 3-tap. You drop down to legs, it's a full 5, and then 4. We're going to back it out to 10. Still a 4-tap, 5-tap. I think the head is still 36, makes it a 3. We're going to back it out to the 20-meter range. Now, the swordfish is kind of one of those funky guns. So as you can tell, the damage basically is the same. We can actually bounce this all the way out to 40 meters. And as you can tell, it is still the same damage. Meaning, you can literally 4 to 5 tap somebody at pretty much any distance. And then with this loadout, you're still going to have a very fast ADS time, which is kind of nice. Now, the one downside to this, because it has the built-in kind of sight, it's not really like a red dot, is that when you get people up really close, and if you are a mostly ADS type person like myself, it is going to kind of affect you, especially with the current meta being that a lot of SMGs, and those SMGs have a lot of type hip fire. At number 3, this CR56 amax. Now, this gun did get a little bit of a buff. It's still not super popular, I've noticed from playing around. And I know you're looking at this loadout thinking, what in the world is this? You know, the mono, the custom long, the no stock, the stipple, the extended mag. Trust me, this thing hits a lot harder than it looks, and not to mention, the ADS time with this, with the custom long and the suppressor, is actually really nice. As you can tell, It is a little bouncy. It is a little bouncy. I'm sure you could probably swap off the stippled for maybe the tack laser. That gets you a little bit better BSA and a little more in the ADS time. But the sprint to fire delay, now this thing is a 4-tap at 5 meters, 3-tap to the head if you hit all headshots. Back it out, it is still going to be in the 4-tap range to legs and chest. Let's go to 20. Now it's a 5-tap. So at 20 meters, it does have a little bit of a drop off, and unless you can hit some headshots, then it will become a 3 to 4 tap gun. But the biggest thing with this, again, it does have a little bit faster fire rate, so it does make it. You are going to want to run an extended mag unless you really want to reload a whole bunch. And of course, with the no stock, you get a lot of movement. And as you can tell, this thing does hit hard, and it shoots, for the most part, fairly consistently tight spread, making your shots super consistent. And of course, with the consistent damage, as long as you're hitting the upper body, you're going to be able to maintain that 4 to 5 shot range all the way out to. Actually, I wonder. Let's see what it does at 30. Yep. So you're going to be able to maintain that at least up to 30 meters. Yeah, once you get to 40, it's at that point you're not really going to be able to engage as much. At number 2, and I did a video on this a while back when it got a kind of a secret buff. That, of course, being the Pharaoh. Now, the one big thing about the Pharaoh is it does have a very rough recoil pattern in that it jumps to the right and it jumps to the left vertically. So it does make it kind of a pain when you are trying to engage people at further distances. But with the range attachments and trying to work a little bit more with the recoil on it, or especially if you put a little time in and kind of figure this gun out, you will absolutely shred people with this. And as you can tell, as you can see, the recoil, it just jumps like a zigzag. But if you can hit the chest, it is a 3-shot to the chest. You hit the head, makes it still a 3. The legs is a 4. Now it does have a 4-round burst. 3 to the arms. We're gonna back it out to 10. Still 3, 4. Missed. Hit the arms. You'll have a 3-shot. Back it out to 20. All right. So now it's a 4-shot to the chest. 5-shot to the legs. And it would still be a 4-shot with the headshot. So as you can tell, it is one of the biggest problems with this is because of its recoil pattern. But if you're able to hit at least basically a follow-up volley of shots, you're going to be able to put people down at a much further distance than you would think. And especially in actual gameplay, this thing is a monster. It really is, especially with this loadout, because again, one of the biggest things is with SMGs, you're not really worried about too much negative ADS time builds because the SMGs have the fastest ADS, like base ADS times for any of the guns, excluding probably like the pistols. And that's what they're meant for. They're meant for close encounters. So as long as you're not engaging people too far away, you're going to have a good time and you're going to be able to shred people up. And of course, the number 1 spot being the GKS. Now, I will say there is one big problem with this gun, and that being its fire rate. The thing fires slow, but the thing hits super hard, making it, and it is actually, it shoots a very tight spread when you are firing, even at further down range, longer range shots. But again, the biggest problem with this gun is its fire rate. As long as you can hit your shots, you will be just fine. Unless like the Mac 10 gets all up in your face, that's where you're going to kind of struggle. But one thing I will say about this is that adding more range, it will be your best friend with this gun, even though it has a slower fire rate, because you're going to be able to hit people a lot harder than most guns, especially like the M13 or the Mac 10, where they got some damage range nerfs. Well, not really the Mac 10. The Mac 10 just fires too fast, but the M13 did. And so you're going to be able to hit them harder, just not as fast as they can if they're using that gun on you. But because of that, you are going to be able to still be able to engage and win those gunfights. And now I will say they did kind of add a little bit of a thing. Now the recoil on this is super easy to control. Now it's a 4-tap to the chest. You hit the head, still a 4-tap, or actually that'd be a 3-tap. And then 4 to the arms and legs. Let's back it up to 10. 4, 4, 4, 4. Yep. So the legs at 30 meters becomes a 5-shot. Yeah, same with the arms. And at 40 meters, still the same. Meaning for an SMG, you're able to five tap somebody at 40 meters with an SMG, which is just absolutely bonkers. And of course, with it being the GKS, like as I said, as you can tell, this thing does have a slow fire rate, but as long as you're someone that can like consistently make sure that you're kind of hitting your mark, you're gonna drop the people a lot faster than the enemy's gonna realize that you're actually hitting them, because this gun does hit a lot harder. Now, the one thing I will say is it does lack like larger mags, and the reload speed on it can be a bit slow. But because of how hard it hits, it makes it super easy to actually win these gunfights. And the only one, I would say, one of the downsides to it is it coming at a 10 or 5? Is its hip fire is awful. Guys, these are 5 non-meta weapons that I think you should definitely give. If you're getting bored of the meta and you want to try something new, here, try out these loadouts. Try something different where you're still going to be able to get some good, consistent kill games in, especially if you're somebody that is looking maybe for a little bit of a challenge, or you want to try and get better at accuracy, where you have a gun that's going to make you need to be a little bit more on point with your, like, at least on point when you're shooting at the enemy. Because of how accurate a lot of these guns are, if you have a higher accuracy, you will be rewarded with these guns. And not to mention, they hit hard enough so that even if you don't, as long as you at least connect, for the most part, you're still going to be able to win these gunfights. Until next time, remember, shoot first, shoot last, win your gunfights. And remember, have fun. Latest!